Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe to the channel so that you will get notified when another analysis of a novel or a play is uploaded. Today we are going to be looking at another African novel titled Weep Not Child by Ngugi Thiong'o. We are going to be analyzing the plot and also summarizing the chapters in the novel. In the novel, we have 18 chapters, and the novel is divided into two parts. The first part is titled The Warning Light, and the second part is titled Darkness Phase. And the novel deals with the emergence of the blacks in Kenya who attempt to go to school. So we saw that the novel portrays also the revolution against colonialism. So we are going to start the analysis of the plot of the novel. And we saw that the novel begins with one of the major characters called Njoroge, whose mother wants him to be the first to attend school in his family. So the Njoroge family live on Jacobo's land. Jacobo is a Kenyan, an African who works for the colonialists. So we saw that among those colonialists is Mr. Holland, who owns much of the land in the area. So Njoroge has two brothers. One of them is Kamau, who is an apprentice carpentry, an apprentice in a carpentry shop, and the carpentry shop is owned by somebody called Nanga. And also we saw that the second brother is called Boro. Boro fought during the Second World War, and at the same time Boro became, towards the end of the novel, Boro became the leader of the Mau group. So we saw that there were a lot of things that happened at the beginning of the novel. One of it is the issue of protest. So we saw that when the local African workers strike for better pay, because most of them were being paid little, they were not paid good amount that were paid to the black, to the whites, who are the colonialists. So they protest against the low wage, and we saw that the father of Njoroge, which is called Ungoto, fears losing his job if he participates in the strike. Yet he attends a strike meeting despite both of his wives. He has two wives, is Unyakobi and Unjeri. Unyakobi is the mother of Njoroge, and Unjeri is the stepmother, the first wife of Ngoto. But he never listened to the wife and never listened to the children, because they want him not to attend the protest because it may lead to him losing his job. But he promises that he's going to attend. Then when he attends, he was living in the land of Jacobo. Jacobo, who works for the white people. And now during the strike, Ngoto confronted Jacobo, and then there was a lot of fight, and Jacobo promises to exert revenge. So we saw that Njoroge transfers. So the father lost the job. Ngoto lost his job, and as a result of that, the son who was going to school, Njoroge, has to transfer. So he transfers school because of his father's loss of employment, and he's separated from his friend. He has a friend called Wihaki. Wihaki is the daughter of Jacobo, who is a chief and then one of the rich men in the community working for the colonialists. And Njoroge could no longer pay the school fees of the school where he was attending with Wihaki, because the father has lost his job. And as a result of that, he has to transfer to another local school. So we saw that Njoroge and Miwaki were once classmates and close friends, but she now attend a boarding school for years, which is Miwaki. And then Njoroge is embarrassed about his father's attack against Jacob. And so he is grateful for the distance between Miyaki and himself, because it has become an embarrassing situation, because he was having the intention of maybe having a good relationship with Miyaki. Miyaki is a girl and Njoroge is a boy. But now, because of the strained relationship between their fathers, they couldn't continue with their relationship, though they wishes to. But Miyagi has gone to a boarding school, and then Njoroge is now in another school where he can be able to afford the fee. So we saw that at this time also, the Mau Mau struggle in Kenya. Mau Mau is a group of people who are protesting against the colonial occupation, the colonialist occupation of the Kenyan land. So what they wanted was independence. So they fought. Many of them were killed, and several of them were even put in life imprisonment. But despite that, they were not deterred. Many of them were still fighting. So we saw that the Mau Mau uprising of the leaders, the Mau Mau, one of the leaders, which the Mau Mau also looking up to, is Jomo Kenyatta. And then at that time, I think in chapter 4, he was standing trial. So this trial he was standing, all the Kenyans were happy that probably he is going to win the case, and then he will be able to achieve independence. But unfortunately, he lost the case, and then he was put in prison. And as a result of that, there was massive protest against colonialists, the British colonialists occupying the Kenyan land. And note that people like Mr. Holland have exploited the poor and took over their lands. In fact, Mr. Holland was one of the a farmer or one of the British colonialists that have a lot of farmland. How did he got there? He took them forcefully from the natives. So we saw that the uprising touches Njoroge's family when Jacobo accuses Goto of leading the Mau Mau group. Goto is the father of Njoroge. Now, Jacob, who is a chief and working for the colonialists, now accusing the father of Njoroge that he was part of the Mau Mau struggles. Though he claimed he is not one of them. But that does not stop there. So we saw that the British forces, the British soldiers, dragged people believed to be involved with the Mau Mau out of their home and executed them in the forest. They took them to the forest and killed them. So we saw that the situation in the country is deteriorating. The more they kill the Mau Mau, the more the protest, and the more the determination to get independence for the people. So we saw that Njoroge is succeeding in his school. Despite the situation, he passes a rigorous high school entrance exam, and his village was very proud of him. So the village even have to collect money from people to be able to sponsor Njoroge's school. So we saw that Njoroge and Miwaki encounter one another again. Note that Miwaki was the daughter of Jacobo, whom was the boss of Ngoto. And then he was the one working for the white people. Now, Miwaki and Njoroge now meet again, despite the fight between their fathers. And we saw that Njoroge apologizes to him, apologizes to her, but she was still not comfortable. So Njoroge does not find their fathers' differences to be a hurdle in their relationship. But we saw that Miwaki was so considerate and was feeling indifferent. So we saw that Njoroge's life is not free from the Mau Mau uprising for long. One day, Jacobo is found murdered. They killed Jacobo. Who killed Jacobo? It was Boro. And Boro was the elder brother of Njoroge. And he killed Jacobo because they had want Jacobo to stay away from fighting the Mau Mau, because Jacobo was one of the people giving intel to the military, to the British forces. That was why they were able to get some of the leaders of the Mau Mau group. So as a result of him not hiding the warning from the Mau Mau group, instead he got more bodyguards from the whites, from the colonialists, and that even led the Mau Mau people to even get more angry. So they killed him. And then there were a lot of things. They suspected Ngoto, the father of Njoroge. And then their father, they beat him, they caught him, they went to his house, they arrested him, then they beat him, and their father dies from his injury. And also Njoroge was beaten. So Njoroge learns that his father was only protecting Kamau and Boro. Now, his father was not actually part of the assassination of Jacobo. It was Kamau. Kamau is a younger brother, is a brother of Njoroge, and Kamau was from the first wife. The first wife is Unjeri. So Kamau and Njoroge are just stepbrothers. Now, Koto, their father, was protecting Kamau and Boro. Then he terms himself up that he was the one who assassinated Jacobo, but the military, the British forces did not believe him. So they rather say he should reveal the identity of those who actually murdered Jacobo, but he refused. So we saw that Njoroge has fallen, and in the meantime, despite all the situations, Njoroge has fallen in love with Miwaki, the daughter of Jacobo, who was murdered, and professes his love for her, asking her to live with him. So she refuses because she feels compelled to remain in Kenya and with her mother, now that Jacobo, her father, is dead. But Njoroge was telling her that they should run to Uganda from Kenya. When they get to Uganda, they can live as husband and wife and be free from the animosity and the crisis rocking their country. But Miwaki refuses. So we also saw that Njoroge is stopped by his mother but descend into hopelessness and shame. Because Njoroge too also Njoroge attempt to hang himself. Because now his love interest, which is Miwaki, has refused because of the strained relationship between the two families. And now Njoroge has lost interest. He became hopeless. No money to go to school. And then he was the only one remaining because Boro and Kamau have been arrested. And Boro will be hanged. And Kamau, his younger brother, will be in prison for life. So Njoroge was left with the two mothers, that is the stepmother Unjeri and his own mother Unyokabi. So he was so depressed, and then he now travel far to another area, forest, to go and hang himself. But he left the house with rope. And then when he got there, it was still day. So he was waiting for the night to kill himself. And then he heard his mother's voice calling him. The mother and the stepmother, Unjeri, we are looking for him. We are calling him. And we saw that at the end, both of them were able to find him. So we saw that he was not able to take his life again because the mother rescued him. Despite that, he was still hopeless. He was still disturbed about the things that happened. So we saw that the family is torn apart. Their family was torn apart by the British rule. Njoroge's fate shows how systematic oppression affects the individual. So as a child, Njoroge has a hopeful future. His father is successful and he excels at school. Then his family and those around him become involved, willingly or not, in the Mau Mau uprising because of the oppression of the British. So the harsh action of the British Army and those who benefit from their rule tear apart Njoroge's family, and that even stripped Njoroge of his faith in God, and he live, and he does not even have faith in God again, and he not even wish to live again. So we saw that Njoroge was living with the mother, hopeless at the end of the novel, even though he still wishes to ensure that he become better, or the life become better for him. Now, no brother again. Kamau is in prison. Boro is in prison. The father has died because of the injury he sustained from the severe beating from the British soldiers. And now he was left to fend for the two mothers. Then he started working. Even though in the work he was doing, he was not, he was hopeless, and that is even why he became more disturbed and wishes to commit suicide. And we also saw that even the brother Kamau that was learning carpentry before in the shop of Nanga was the owner of this thing. Nanga was killed. He was taken to the forest and killed by the British colonialists. What they do that time that the novel told us was that when they catch people on the road, they ask them for their identity, a means of identity. So those who are not part of the British government, colonial government, that have identity card, they are taken to the forest and killed, and then they regarded them as members of the Mau Mau group. And then we saw, and note that it is not only this novel, like Petals of Blood and other novels by Ngugi Thiong'o also explore the Mama struggle and how